Good morning!
I'm your radio teacher,
I am your science buddy.
and I'll give you an exciting lesson that you'll surely enjoy.
Sci Talks Radio. Education must continue.
Learning is a great avenue.
No one will be left behind. With new normal comes new learning.
New method, new way of understanding.
Keep on learning.
Keep on achieving,
There's no way of hindering.
enriching one's dream.
This is Sci Talks Radio, your number one source of science education. Conveying a half an hour of quality scientific teaching on air.
This is
Sci Talks Radio.
Our Secretary in Education, Ma'am Leonor Magtolis Briones, quoted, "Education must continue even in the times of crisis, whether it may be calamity, disaster, emergency, quarantine, or even war." Good day, my dear grade 10 learners. How are you doing? It's a blessing to know that you're still hanging in there and continuing your studies amidst the pandemic. We are now down to the last week of the third quarter. And here we are at Radyo Eskwela, making your learning journey meaningful and exciting. This is Teacher Justin, your radio buddy, sharing you knowledge and fun in the world of science. So, put your seatbelts on, hold tight, and be ready for the takeoff. Quick reminder, my dear students, make sure you are at a safe, quiet, and comfortable place where you can clearly listen to our broadcast. Make sure that you've eaten your meal and attended to your personal necessities. Prepare your needed materials for today's lesson. Listen and take down important points as we discuss our topic later. I know you're ecstatic, so let's begin. Before we start on the lesson proper, let us go back to the previous lesson where you have learned about the ecosystem's biodiversity. Can you still recall it?
Yes, sir.
That's good to hear. Let's see if you still remember our lesson. What are the three categories of the value of a species? Very good. The categories are direct economic value, indirect economic value, and aesthetic value. What do we call the variety of life forms in a particular ecosystem? You got it right. It is called biodiversity. Davao is known for its wide variety of fruits and other plant species that make it more attractive to tourists. Which of the following classification of the value of biodiversity is described? You're right. Direct economic value and indirect economic value. Let us further assess your understanding of our previous lesson through a simple activity. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Listen to my instructions. Listen to the statements that I will read to you. If the statement is true, say fact, and if the statement is false, say bluff. Then tell the correct word to make it true. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Let's begin. For number 1, organisms are part of biodiversity and may be economically and ecologically valuable. Is it fact or bluff? That's right, it's bluff. Number 2, the species are considered to have direct economic value if the products are the sources of food, medicine, clothing, shelter, and energy. What is your answer? Wow, correct. The answer is fact. For number 3, stability of an ecosystem is resilience to withstand changes that may occur in the environment. Fact or bluff? You got it right. It's a fact. Number 4. Species have a direct economic value if there are benefits produced by organism without using them. Is it fact or bluff? Amazing! The answer is bluff. And for number 5, a lot of species provide visual or artistic enjoyment like a forested landscape and the calming beauty of a natural park. What is your answer? Great! The answer is fact. Good job, my dear students. I am amused to know that you fully understood our lesson last time. Now, you are ready to explore our new topic for today. Come on! David Attenborough, an English broadcaster and natural historian, once said, "Instead of controlling the environment for the benefit of the population, perhaps we should control the population to ensure the survival of the environment." His message is very impactful, right?
Oh, yes.
Today, we will be going to learn how to explain the relationship between population growth and carrying capacity. I know you are ecstatic, so let's begin. A major component of modern ecological research focuses on the abundance of organisms within a population and the changes over time and its contributing factors. Since a population is a group of individuals of the same species living and interbreeding within a given area, members of a population often depend on the same resources which are subjected to similar environmental constraints. Such often rest on the availability of other members to persist over time. Do you know that scientists studied a population by examining how individuals in that population interact with each other and how the population as a whole interacts with its environment? Yes, you heard it right. Population ecologists rely on a series of statistical measures known as demographic parameters to describe that population. Demography is the study of the characteristics of populations. Demographics can include any statistical factors that influence population growth or decline, but several parameters are particularly important: population size, density, age structure, fecundity or birth rates, mortality or death rates, and sex ratio. Amazing, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's get to know more about several processes that occur simultaneously that can affect population size and dynamics. As a population grows in an area, a population may experience the effects of increased densities. In a given area, carrying capacity refers to the maximum population size of the species that the environment can sustain. It is determined by the amount of available resources, food, habitat, and water. As the density of individuals in a population increases, these individuals must begin competing for limited resources with each other if the population grows indefinitely. Less and fewer resources will be available to sustain the population. To further enhance your understanding of our lesson, let's have a simple activity. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
That's great. Say up if you agree with this statement and down if you disagree. Again, say up if you agree with this statement and down if you disagree. Let's start. For number 1, a population is a group of organisms of the same species that are in a certain area. What is your answer? Very good. It's up. Number 2. Birth rate is the number of births in a population. Up or down? That's right. The answer is up. Number 3. Death rate is the number of organisms that are dying in a population. Is it up or down? Correct. The answer is up. Number 4. Population density refers to the number of organisms per unit area. What is your answer? Wow, you're right. It's up. And for number 5, if a population density is high, that means there are very few organisms in an area. Absolutely, it's down. You did great, my dear grade 10 students. Why should we care if the number of organisms in an area is increasing or decreasing? Yes, the possible answer is we should care about the number of organisms in a certain area, whether increasing or decreasing, in order that their lives will not be put in danger. What causes a population size to increase or to decrease? That's right. Causes that may lead population size to increase or decrease are competition of resources, predation, and diseases. To further check whether you understood our lesson, let's answer the following situations. Prepare your pen and paper. Let's go! Number 1. If the human population is currently growing at an exponential rate, how can this be explained in terms of birth and death rates? Again, if the human population is currently growing at an exponential rate, how can this be explained in terms of birth and death rates? Number 2. If the monkey-eating eagle, Pithecopaga giffordii, is considered an endangered species, what does this mean in terms of the birth and death rate of monkey-eating eagle? Again, if the monkey-eating eagle, Pithecopaga giffordii, is considered an endangered species, what does this mean in terms of the birth and death rate of monkey-eating eagle? I will give you 2 minutes to answer the questions. Time starts now. Are you done, my dear grade 10 learners?
Yes, sir.
Great! Let's check your answers. For number 1, the answer is If a population density is very high, that means there are a lot of organisms crowded into a certain area. Next, number 2. What is your answer? Correct. If a population's density is low, which means there are very few organisms in an area. Did you get the correct answer? Great to know that. Remember, my dear students, that population ecologists rely on a series of statistical measures known as demographic parameters to describe that population. Demography is the study of the characteristics of populations. It provides a mathematical description of how those characteristics change over time. Demographics can include any statistical factors that influence population growth or decline. But several parameters are particularly important. Population size, density, age structure, fecundity or birth rates, mortality or death rates, and sex ratio. Also, there are several processes that occur simultaneously that can affect population size and dynamics. As a population grows in an area, a population may experience the effects of increased densities. As the density of individuals in a population increases, these individuals must begin competing for limited resources with each other. If the population grows indefinitely, fewer and fewer resources will be available to sustain the population. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Good to know that. At this time, I think you are now ready for a quiz. I want you to listen carefully to the instruction. Don't worry, you can do this. Today, we shall have 2 sets of a quiz. For set A, turn your LAS on page 87 and notice the graph of habitat where a goat population has reached its carrying capacity. Analyze the graph, then answer the questions that follow. For question number 1, what is the carrying capacity of the habitat? And why do you think so? Again, what is the carrying capacity of the habitat? And why do you think so? Number 2, what have you noticed with the population of goats between mid-May and mid-June? Again, what have you noticed with the population of goats between mid-May and mid-June? Number 3A, what is the relationship between population growth and carrying capacity? B, what will be the effect of a growing population on the carrying capacity of a habitat? I'll repeat. For letter A, what is the relationship between population growth and carrying capacity? B, what will be the effect of a growing population on the carrying capacity of a habitat? Let's proceed to set B of our quiz. On a sheet of paper, answer the situation that I will read to you. Listen carefully, okay?
Yes, sir.
In order to support your family's needs, your parents decided to have a fish pond project by raising tilapia situated on your farm. After digging a good hole with a suitable pond liners, you notice a lot of fingerlings boat. What do you think will happen when there would be too many fingerlings in a fish pond with very limited space or area? I'll repeat. In order to support your family's needs, your parents decided to have a fish pond project by raising a tilapia situated on your farm. After digging a good hole with suitable pond liners, you notice a lot of fingerlings boat. What do you think will happen when there would be too many fingerlings in a fish pond with very limited space or area? I will give you 5 minutes to finish your answers. Time starts now.
Tayo ay mag-aral sa loob ng ating tahanan. Sa radyo ay mag-tune lang, tiyak ika'y may matututunan. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay pumapasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Pagkat kayo'y kinabukasan, ang pag-asa ng ating bayan. Isa pusong pagkatuto nang matupad ang pangarap mo. Pagkat sa gitna ng pandemya, tayo pa rin ay magkaisa upang masigurong bawat bata ay bumabasa. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayong ng lahat makinig. Halina't matuto gamit ang ating radyo, pakinggan at unawain, aralin na ituturo. Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang maiiwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na, tayo na, tayo na sa Radyo Eskwela. Tayo na!
Time is up, my dear students. Let's check your answers. Remember, you must be honest in checking. Let's begin. For set A, number 1, what is your answer? Correct. The answer is approximately 70 goats because the graph between mid-August to mid-September did not increase or static level. Number 2, the answer is there is an increase in the population of goats between mid-May and mid-June. For number 3A, what is your answer? You're right. The answer might be the carrying capacity dictates the maximum population size. This refers to the maximum number of individuals of a certain species an environment can maintain in the long term. And for B, the answer might be the human population will stop growing when it reaches its carrying capacity. For set B, the answers may vary. So, make sure that you submit your paper to your teacher so he or she can rate your answers. Okay? The possible answers is putting too many fingerlings in a limited space will surely affect the population growth because the carrying capacity of the area being used is not enough for them. Count your scores and write it on the upper right corner of your quiz form over the total items. How are your scores? I know you did your best. For those who got high scores, keep it up. And for those who didn't make it, I encourage you to answer the other activities provided in your LAS.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on a job well done. We are now done with the last week for the third quarter. I hope your learning experience was meaningful and worth it. Don't forget to label your activities and outputs for submission. If you have any questions about the lesson, just write it on the feedback forms or message your subject teacher. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Remind also your parents to follow the IATF protocols when submitting your answer sheets for their safety. Another episode has ended, but I'm sure your learnings for today will remain with you forever. Keep tuning in for more fun and exciting episode of Science School on the Air. On behalf of our scriptwriter, Ms. Sharon C. Tarayo, and the whole SDO production team, this is your teacher, Justin De La Cruz, leaving a quote from Vernon Howard. Always walk through life as if you have something new to learn, and you will. Till next time, goodbye!
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon.
Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan.
Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela!